Right, greetings everyone. Welcome to another video. Today we are going to be taking a look at data from Wotv Calc. Wotv Calc has updated in terms of just some of the things that have been upgraded over the last little bit. House cleaning essentially, because I'm going to level with you. This is the most nothing week I've seen in Wotv possibly ever. I mean, just in terms of all the weeks that we've had this year where different content has come in, this is the week to me especially that just feels like, who gives a shit? Like, yes, a new VC came out for FF8. It is a VC of VC-ness with that you can try and get, and honestly I just have a hard time caring about any of it in terms of my personal self. But this, for the content of the channel, let's talk about it. So first off, this VC, it is essentially what was promised, 24% AoE resistance / resistance human killer. It's fine. I'm not in love with this VC. I don't think it's anything too crazy. I think it's kind of nice if you have the resources to max it out before the end, and that's about it. And in terms of like the units it supports, Earth is the big thing, or if you're continually looking for a new source of power up to maybe partner Cypher and Ashen Mont. I'm not, so I'm pretty sure that it's just a pass for me. Next up, let's talk about Cypher. Cypher is doing quite well. There isn't anything that I saw in here that really changed that opinion, and at this point, the proof has already been shown in terms of videos, so yeah, moving on. Next up, Cypher's weapon we've talked about before, and if not, here it is. Good for him. Probably not. Over here, this is something that we haven't talked about. It is a new weapon for Irvine, and it has defense penetration, human killer, and critical rate. It's a pretty good weapon for him. It is obtainable providing that you have the character, and it's only equipable by him and one other, so it's very, very specific for him. And it's nice that Irvine is getting these kind of upgrades. Speaking of upgrades, Ragnarok Replica has been upgraded to a +6 version, HP, critical, or shield. Stats being played there. Basically, everything's the same. 200% chance of physical damage up. Self increased physical based resistance of 10. That's for Squall. So it is a 20% physical damage increase for Squall. Magic attack and magic debuff resistance for Renoa. Human killer and attack for Irvine. With slash and strike resistance now at 15% apiece, which isn't too crazy, but it is some extra resistances. Squall would prefer those resistances more than other characters. 15% is decent. And that goes in pairing with the Sorceress's Invitation letter. We have the Vitality, Aim, and Shield version. So you can potentially go 2 shield versions. Aim version is kind of nice, I guess, if accuracy ever becomes a thing required ever again here. So physical damage taken 10% and AoE resistance of 10. Magic of 30% and increase all magic attack resistant, or all attack resistance 5% for Renoa. Sorry, the first one there was for Squall. Reduce physical damage and AoE resistance. Increased AoE resistance, critical damage, and then human killer, as well as single target resistance of 10 Cypher. Listed as such, critical evasion of 30. It's a fine piece of equipment. In combination, I suppose you could run that and a Trust Mastery weapon if you really wanted, as most of the time these bonuses end up being generally good enough. I don't know. It does feel slightly hodgepodgey when you equip both of these things together, with Renoa maybe being the most synergistic. I'm still not convinced anywhere about Irvine's upgrades. I just don't think that they are that impressive, even with everything that he's gotten. Squall seems to be a little bit more impressive as I've gone up against a few of them that have been at 140 and have pushed back fairly consistently, which is impressive. Cypher's still generally the best looking from this collaboration, except for, you know, that I just generally really like Renault. All right, so all that is good, but we do have some other things. First off, the Ragnarok model did get upgraded to a 6-star version, or got some kind of upgrade, and it's almost entirely negligible by the looks of it. It's just essentially nothing, which is why we're not going to talk about it. Shooting Star. Reduce magical damage taken by 10%, healing power 15, and I do believe I talked about that before. Not listed on Wotv Calc, so find it. Yes, it was the HP thing. So for people who might be wondering about that one, is magic damage reduction of 10 when HP is over 70%. And there's also AoE resistance penetration up by 10 on equipment now. Good for Renault. The Astral Rod. Strike resistance of 8, reaction block of 30, magic attack of 25. Pretty nice upgrade that it's getting a magic attack of 25. That's not nothing. That is a fair amount of extra power for a magic character that equipped this, specifically Soul. So good news for Soul players out there, since, you know, generally fire is still pretty strong. As for Grifford, single target resistance of 15, which feels pretty negligible at this point in time, so not even really going to pay too much attention to it. And let's just see, was there anything else missed? Don't think so. The Ragnarok upgrades of slashing and strike resistance we talked about already. And besides the VC or just the box event, there's essentially really nothing going on this week in JP. If you don't care about, you know, FF8 at all, then there really isn't too much to say. And essentially what we're just doing is just a box event, which is pretty oh-hum, whatever. I don't know. I mean, like, I would like to say that there is something more interesting this week, but that's not true. So let's talk about next week. All right, so next week in JP is normally a BC week. However, I am revising the forecast given that there's 1 week left in June before we get to July. I'm pretty sure that what next week will be a repeat of all the old beach units. It's the only thing that essentially makes sense before we get a brand new beach unit, maybe 2 beach units in July, depending on what they want to do. Since FF8 is running the whole time, it seems like a natural good time to bring out the beach units, give them their limit burst upgrades, equipment upgrades, anything like that that they are going to do before we get our new beach unit, or yeah, well, be on July 1st. Now, that also might be a little bit inaccurate, seeing that seasonal units have been kind of neglected recently for JP. It could be as well that we see all the old beach units return next week, with all the beach unit VCs and everything like that. And then for July 1st, we go back to story characters, if they are just not doing that anymore. I don't think that there's going to be a major story character or anything dropped. It's about that time for summer, so probably best to just start getting those beach units out. I don't know if I have too terribly much hope for older units, given that the older units really have not made a splash, except for, of course, Summer Glassy, obviously. That's the one that I have the highest hope for, seeing that she could get a really good upgrade about you know, some kind of aura, which would make her really, really strong and really good and competitive, since she's been hanging in there. But that would be the thing that would probably do her quite well. I think it's a pretty natural fit for a tank, so we'll wait and see that. But also, like, Summer Helena has kind of poked her way in and around. Thunder with Luciel and maybe Magic. Maybe there's something that could happen there, but it would have to be one heck of an upgrade. I feel pretty confident always about, you know, glassy upgrades, since glassy upgrades are pretty damn good usually. But when it comes to Helena upgrades, I don't know, maybe that's just a ship that's just too far gone at this point, and they'll just be focusing heavily on whatever the new unit coming on July 1st is. But given just the timing and everything of how they've been rolling out content, old beach units next week seem to fit really well, and we should know by Friday, maybe Thursday, depending on the news schedule. So stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you're doing well. See you later.